Welcome to Enigma's Epiphany, where we discuss a plethora of subjects pertaining to theology and the like. Today, we have a very interesting topic that might shock the Christian community. We'd like to welcome our very special guest, John Nelson Darby. So, Mr. Darby, before bringing you on to the show, I researched your family's legacy. There were many things that caught my attention, but in particular, Kings County in Ireland fascinated me. But to our viewers who aren't familiar with you, can you brief us on your background?
Well, I was born into a privileged Anglo-Irish family where hard work and education was instilled in me. My favorite uncle was an admiral in the British Navy who served under Lord Nelson, and that's how I got my middle name. However, after my uncle Lord Nelson died, my family and I inherited Leaps Castle in Kings County, Ireland. Nonetheless, I attended Dublin's Trinity College, graduated as a classic gold medalist from Dublin's Trinity College. Then I furthered my education in law. It was during that time when I had a spiritual awakening and I was drawn to ministry.
That's quite interesting. So after your awakening, did you give up studying law altogether?
Well, not quite at that moment. For the next 5 years or so, I continued pursuing law while serving the church at the same time. Eventually, I gave up law and became 100% dedicated to ministry and begun studying divinity with complete service to God.
I was reading Bart Ehrman's book entitled Armageddon, and it completely disturbed me as it states that you and your brotherhood invented the entire rapture concept. I searched all over the internet researching this, and the information I gathered all points back to you. So since I have you here, how true is this?
Well, as unpleasant as it may seem, it is indeed very true. Anyone who reads the New Testament in either English, Latin, or its original language being Greek, they'll never find the words rapture written anywhere throughout the New Testament. I did, however, establish...
Well, as I live and breathe, you, Mr. Darby, are the Antichrist.
That's the most damnedest thing I ever heard. How in the actual fuck could you do such a thing?
I'm going to have to ask the both of you to not disrupt my broadcast. If it happens again, I'm going to have security escort the two of you off the premises. I apologize for that, Mr. Darby, but let's get back to what you were saying.
No worries, Helen. I expect those sort of responses as they stem from a place of cognitive dissonance. Nonetheless, I was stating that I established the Plymouth Brotherhood that you mentioned earlier on, and the Plymouth Brotherhood was based on the concept of dispensationalism.
Beginning on page 72 in Bart Ehrman's book, he wrote about this dispensational movement that you speak of. Can you elaborate more on this?
Sure. Dispensationalism is merely the literal view of Scripture as it pertains to eschatology, with a strong interest regarding end-time prophecy and a specific dispensationalist approach. Messianics believe in 144,000 being saved, but as dispensationalists we, however, make the distinctions between Israel and the church, seeing that there are two peoples of God. Israel is one, and consists of the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The church is the other, and it consists of all those, whether they are Jew or Gentile, who are saved between the day of Pentecost and the rapture. Essentially, we compare ancient biblical events to our modern times. I then created the philosophy of 7 dispensations. The dispensational movement was so profound that I influenced the Schofield Reference Bible to the extent that my statements were published in the text notes of said Bible. In fact, dispensationalism became so popular that it influenced religious institutions such as Moody Bible College and others. Filmmakers have even created the movies Left Behind and A Thief in the Night, just to name a few. Overall, whenever you hear people talk about the ending of the world, making distinctions between Israel and the church, synchronizing past scriptures with present times, and so on, many don't realize it, but that's the exact thought of dispensationalism.
Wow, now I understand why you're labeled as the father of dispensation. Does hermeneutics play a role in any of this?
Absolutely. Hermeneutics is applied to both the books of Daniel and Revelation, which ranges from the rapture, 7-year tribulation, and the second coming of Christ. We believe in a thorough explanation which then brought forth the end times events, and we also made charts as our effort to show and prove these things to the masses.
So I guess this would explain why when I'm going for a walk, I always see evangelicals or Messianic Israelites out on the streets with their charts. They're merely under the auspices of your influence. Well, Mr. Darby, the work you've done definitely hasn't gone unnoticed. My viewing audience, and myself included now, have a name to match the mind of the man who has influenced the world. Thanks for coming on to my show, and to those of you watching, this episode explains the importance on why you should study. This is Enigma's Epiphany. Until next time, be well.